Good morning, Rabbi Isai. Live from Saint Anton, Austria. Gewaldig. Rabbi Isai, today's daf is an amazing Geschmacke daf. Today was a Geschmacke day. Before we get into the daf, you're going to see really exciting daf with one of my favorite stories in all of Shas, one of the most interesting stories. Captured by singer Shirley Waldner during a break, fellow musician in Tom's River MDY Yossi Greenzweig, Chapsaran Daf Gemara. Beautiful.
Oh, I have to give you. Monty Belsky sent me Shlomi Daskel. He caught him doing
also
Daf again.
So send it to Mark. See him, Rabbi Isai in Lebanon, where people learn Torah. We're a part of it. They're all wearing the same thing on their back. What is that? It looks like it's somebody's house. That's what they used to do in Gaza. A Muncie MD wire gets a kiss from Hashem, reminder that he didn't do the daf yet today. He saw Chanan Pressman's car, MDY. MDY official edition, Chullin volume 3, going to print soon. Just 26 dapim still available for sponsorship. Wow. You know what else is going? B'chayres is going to go to print soon also. It's something that you know I'm worked on very hard. MDY official edition, Chullin volume 2, has limited quantities now available in some Sfarim stores in the New York, New Jersey area. There's a whole list here. I like Merkaz Sfarim for Muncie because it's similar to Merkaz Daf Yomi. Lishkas HaSofer, Judaica Corner, Keter, Torah Treasures, Tuvias, Bekitzer, all the Zundel Berman bookstores, Squonkim.
MY Sefer, almost like MDY Sefer.
Rabbi Isai, Reb Chaim Goldzweig, his yard site is today, and I was close to him in my catering business, my first real job business. So he was the Rav HaMachshir. He gave me a hechsher. He was close to my father. He's a big tzaddik, Talmid Chacham in Chicago. He'll be sorely missed. The Shem should have an aliyah. Moshe Grossman of Torah Treasures in Muncie is a chashuv guy. He helps us out a lot. He's a big MDYer. So yishkoyach for featuring our Gemara. Tom's River Satellite Shechita demonstration. I guess I missed this. I said it I showed it in the Hebrew. It's confusing. So a nice tzibur showed up over there. And then you have Rabbi Avram Weisfish doing a shechita in Manchester earlier this evening. Look how many people showed up. Unbelievable, incredible. He's standing on a stage over here in the corner, you could see.
That's the school. We were there. Another place we went to?
Was it?
Probably not.
No, this is smaller than that school. Beautiful amount of people. Kol hakavod. Oh, Reb Shlomi Daskel learning in between sets and bites. What is that? Dessert? Let's see what he's eating over there. No, that's like the starter, like a salmon or something.
He's got his video.
What's he doing? He's like learning with his hands. It's a video. Back. The official edition of MY Shas, the Masechta Zevin Yal Sholof, Perek, Ilan, and Mary Davidovici, the Nishmas Shaya ben Aaron, and Yocheved Chava Itel Bas, Avraham, Daf Nun Vav by Benjamin Rosenfeld, Parnasa B'Sheva. So we're going to have his daf, the Chodesh, the Shavua, the whole thing. Let's see how many times you have Benjamin Rosenfeld. The Masechta is sponsored by David Salomon, dedicated in memory of Avimoyri, Reb Shmuel, Baruch, Ben Reb Chaim Tzvi, Doiv, Zuchron Livracha. And by the Palachik Family Foundation, also coming for Shabbos. I heard there's going to be over 40 people here for Shabbos. Still room. So the tickets were extremely expensive to come from New York to Zurich or to one of the... There's ways to do it. Go to
France, maybe.
One of the European countries and take a train. My kids are going to Salzburg and they're taking trains directly to St. Anton. No getting off. Yeah, it's still chaperein. Right now, it's very quiet, very, very geschmack. And the places you could go to is just, and the food. The Belgium Family Foundation and gratitude to the consortium and the alliance and all they do to support MDY. Anonymous and thank you to Chief Benny. Shmuel Ahuva Schuster. For continued Hatzlacha and Nachas from our children. Anonymous for complete refuah shleima and arichas yomim. Taleb Asester. Binyamin and Danielle Rosenfeld, Brios Vis Simchas. Here he is the second time. Monthly sponsors anonymous Linushmas Yonatan Eitan Ben Mordechai Zev Akoin Zuchron Levracha. The Tzviz Linushmas Yonatan Eitan Ben Mordechai Zev Zuchron Levracha. Monthly sponsors Ari Simon Refuah Shlema Avi Mari Baruch Miriam. Anonymous Refuah Shlema for Rabbi Ruchen Ben Yehudis and Avram Yishai Ben Savid Dvar Amen. Weekly sponsors of the Spanish year sponsors in honor of the first three Bachrim in the Mexican satellite location, Shmuel Yehuda Abramchik, Moshe Leniado, and Inon Greenberg. Joel Malone. Our dear Uncle Abi, Rav Moshe Ben Yosef HaKohen Malone, on his yard side. MDY Art. Montler, Fushlema Mordechai Ben Esther. Fusayela, Daniel Zeb Ben Ayel Esther. Rabbi Isai, here we go, 10 lines from the bottom of Daf Nun Beis. So we're discussing a gluda. A gluda is an animal which is missing all of its skin. Omarav, kola or kuloi matzah begluda. If you have one little cella the size of a coin of skin somewhere on the animal, it saves the glue is coming up soon. Based on process. So Chutz ma'or beis process. This is or beis process. The skin on the bottom part of an animal's leg. That will not save the animal. That's a treifa. Over there's no meat at all. Rabbi Yochanan says that even the skin of beis process could save the animal from being a treifa as long as there's a sella. Rabbi Yochanan wants or beis process mao, exactly what we discussed. There's a kazais of skin on the lower part of the leg. Yes, it does in fact save the animal. But you taught us once when it comes to tuma. So typically speaking, the hide is not metama. But if it acts like meat, then it is. But it says that the hide is more like meat and not like hide. Therefore, it won't save an animal. It's as if he doesn't have any hide. He only has meat. And one of them is or beis haprasos. So you see that or of the lower leg is not good skin. Omerle al takni teini, don't upset me. So that's das yachid, the sanya. That's an individual shita. We don't hold like him. The sanya. Hashoichet sa'oila lahaktir kizayis ma'or shetachas ha'alya chutzam koimoi and chutzas manoi. So we know we're not going to go into don't worry about it if you don't enjoy pigul stuff, even though we learned zvachim and everybody's very familiar with it. But just in case, it's just is brought in there as a side point. The idea is that if a kohen, as he's shechting an animal, he thinks to himself a thought that's passels this animal or creates a karas. How? By thinking that he's going to eat this animal in 3-4 days from now, when in fact you can only eat it 1 or 2 days. Or he's going to put it on the mizbech in 1 or 2 days from now, instead of putting it on today. So if he thinks to put it on in a different place, outside the Beis HaMikdash, in Tzfat, Tveria, some place other than Beis HaMikdash, that's chutz l'makom. So that you never get cars for that, but it makes the animal apostle. So too, if you thought to put on the mizbech when it comes to an oila, so an oila is something that you can't eat yourself. So all his thoughts are when he's putting it on the mizbeach, and what is he thinking about? The hide that's under the tail of a sheep. So it works. Chutzim koimoi, pasavim v'kares. Chutzazman, if you thought about it outside of it a lot of time, pigul v'chayim of kares, you get kares. Eliezer ben Yehuda ish ivlim omar mishum Yaakov v'chinoi b'shimon ben Yehuda ish ikus oimer mishum b'shimon. Echad process. And the hide on the head, shalegel arach of a calf that's still nursing, and the hide that's under the tail. And all those that when it comes to tumah, we said that the hides are like the meat, la'avi, or beis haboishes, the female womb entrance. Chutz l'mkoyma. So Taisus in Zvachim asks, we're not talking about a female here, we're talking about a male because the oil can only be a male. So he says, yeah, it's the same area by a male. Chutz l'mkoyma apostle, be'emekaris. Chutz l'zmani pigol v'chayim olav karis. The bottom line is that you see that it's a das yachid that says that the hide that's on the lower part of the leg is matrif, that's not considered, it's considered basar, but most of the chacham hold that it's considered hide and therefore it's machshir the animal. Let me just show you a couple of videos from today. Some people love this stuff, some people don't. Oh, this we were trying to show a trickle from very, very far up. I don't know, you missed the up, I think.
No, that is the up.
That is the up? Comes down hundreds of feet. But that trickle leads into a much larger body of water that's coming down. And we were in a canyon. It was just unbelievable. Every turn in this canyon gets better and better and better. Just I figured it's better if I don't talk. And here's that in slow motion. Little drum roll. That. Okay. And this was in that same canyon, standing in the water. Mad. I could have sat there all day. Amount of water. You're thinking to yourself, in Switzerland, in Schweiz, gar nicht. Wirklich? Okay, anyway. Could you teach us one or two Schweizerdeutsch words?
Yeah.
Can you teach us one or two Schweizerdeutsch words?
Ist ein schöner Tag gewesen.
Oh, come on. What?
Ist ein schöner Tag gewesen. Was a nice day.
Ish Shoshana dog say.
Shine, like shina, like shine, and dog is like dog.
Day.
Day.
Can you just teach us a simpler word that even I could remember?
Later.
Okay, says the Mishnah. Now we're moving on to a new topic. We're done for now with the trephus of an animal. Now we're moving on to birds, chickens. Very, very geschmackes sugya. Ve'elu trephus boif. These create a treif and a bird. Oh, I was just in my room and I forgot to bring my kana. No. Nekuvas haveshet. If there's a hole in the esophagus, upsukas hagargeres, and if there's a split in the kana, which is the trachea, the breathing tube, it's just like an animal. A small little puncture wound in the eating tube makes it a treif, but by the trachea, you need more than that. You need a split. Oh, here it becomes gishmak. Hikata chulda al roisha. If a weasel, a chulda could be a rat, but we don't like talking about rats. Let's call it a weasel. It's gishmak when it's a weasel. So, when a weasel punctures its head, makim shah isa isa treifa, in a place that it creates a treifa. So let me show you a couple of videos. First, we have the real thing. First of all, what's a weasel? Weasels looks like a little bit like a mongoose. They have them also in Eretz Yisrael. It's a feisty little animal. Here you could see it trying to trap. Let's see, maybe I could. Yeah. What's the point here? How come they didn't just go to the end? Yeah. We missed the whole weasel thing. I fast forwarded in the beginning. There it is. So it's actually scared of the chicken. You saw that?
They're fighting.
The big guy scares it. I guess eventually What is it showing? That it targets these chickens.
That's it. Yeah.
It's trying to do the tricky way, no?
It's showing the chicken chased it away.
He's going for the other side.
Okay, we got the point. Next. But it's a live thing. This is better. We got a much better one. MDY caught this on film. This Mamish the Gemara caught it in its head. But now the chicken is still alive and we want to know if it's a treif or not. So the question of the sugya is, did the teeth of the weasel go through the skull into the brain? Now we know the brain is surrounded by two membranes. Did it puncture both of them? What's fascinating about this Gemara is the Gemara is going to give us all sorts of different ways to check whether or not there's a puncture wound. So says the Mishnah, Nika vakurkavan, the gizzard. So let's take a look at some of the fascinating innards of a bird. So first, when the bird eats food, it goes first into the crop, known as the zepek. From there, it moves into the kurkavan, to the gizzard. And somehow after that, it makes it into the intestines, to the dakin, which we're also going to speak about today. We're going to talk about the kaved and the lave. You see, the liver and the heart are in the front of the chicken. So let's say if it burns its stomach, it's going to burn the heart and the liver. So that's the next thing in the Gemara, in the Mishnah. Nafla la'ur, if a chicken fell into the fire for a moment, but was saved, v'nechmeru b'nei me'ah, and the innards were scorched.
Like that.
Oh, mama's like that. So the Mishnah goes on to say, if it changed colors, I just want to pause it for a second. There's a fascinating halacha from the Chassam Sofer of a person who was boiling up a pot of hot water, and a chicken fell into the hot water and died. What would you paskin? Not you two, not you three. All three, you did the Hebrew shir. What's the halacha here? Chicken is dead. So the Chassam Sofer says a fascinating halacha. He says that the pot is asur b'hana, everything's asur b'hana. Why? Because the chicken was alive when it made it into the water, so some of the Eiver min achai, it's an Eiver min achai, it's alive, and it went into the pot. Okay? So says the Mishnah, so what do you do if the chicken fell into a flame? Im yirukim psulim. If the red organs turned green, pasul. Im adumim sherim. And if they remain red, then it's kosher. Drasa. Oh, so let me show you this video. I like that little net. So if his organs turn green, then it is no good. What else do we have here? Okay, you don't like these videos, I won't show them.
Which ones?
The ones of the cops beating them up. Drasa. If a human being stepped on a chicken, or utrafa bakoizel, or threw it up against the wall. Should I say over that story? About the girl that threw the thing on the wall? There was a chassan who was looking out the window and he saw a chicken eating the different stuff that the Kal's family made for the chasana. And then he sees the Kal come out, noticing that the chicken was eating. She got really, really frustrated with the chicken. She took the chicken and threw it up against the wall. So the chassan decided he wants to call off the shidduch. He's calling it off. He can't marry a girl who doesn't have a heart, like, who's able to hurt a chicken like that. But he had a dilemma. What's he going to do? Is he going to tell her, I'm breaking the shidduch? He's going to break her heart. So what do you do? I wasn't crazy about the story, but there's a Musar Haskell to learn about the story. He went to the shul and pretended that he was stealing from the pushka. And people caught him, and they made a whole stink about it, and they went to the father-in-law, and the father-in-law called off the shidduch. He was willing to embarrass himself, not to embarrass this girl. Rav Stefansky, what do you say about the story? It's not one of your favorites? It's okay.
I'm saying, but in the end,
Yeah.
he embarrassed her anyways because we know about the story.
No.
Right?
After she was nifter. Okay. Zukdai Gemara. I hear you, Kasha. You know what? Because you asked that Kasha, I'm going to embarrass you. Hashtag Kimat Hoya. Send him the picture of me and him when he was doing. That's a more ridiculous picture. One of my favorite pictures of the whole trip. I'll explain when it comes into here. Send it to Mark. So, or another animal broke it up. And it's like struggling to live. It's thrashing around. The concern over here is something called risuk evarim. We had it a number of times. Nefula, where the innards might be broken because it had a very, somebody stepped on it, or somebody threw it into a wall. But the halacha is that if the animal survives 24 hours, it waited around for 24 hours, and then you shechted it, ksheira. It is kosher. Says the Gemara, Rabbi Shmuel Levi the Hamri. This is check number 1. You see, at least
It's in.
done. It's in?
Yeah.
Okay, Rabbis, let me just explain what's going on here. We're in the middle of our trip. We were leaving in the morning, and Avi Kamiansky says he has a very, very important call to make today. Hopefully, those people don't watch this year.
We get into pratim.
Okay. So, anyways, he has a very important Zoom meeting. The problem is he's wearing his short sleeve. He wants to look like a lawyer. Well, and he says, I need to stop for an hour. Wherever we are, bring me back to the hotel. So the other one was not so happy. They go back to the hotel so early. So all of a sudden he pulls out of his bag a nice white shirt and a nice jacket. And he gets on Zoom. And I look over and I can't believe my eyes. So I told Noam, take a picture of this. Here it is. Here it is.
Corona guys. No.
Mom's like Corona. If you just look over here, he looks chashiv. He's wearing his yarmulke, the whole thing. The amount of guy that walked by and made a double stare over there, I can't even tell you. Look at this guy. Okay. Good. Anyway, so
Leave it up.
it should be that should be on the album of the trip. So listen to the way you check. What's the concern? That maybe this weasel stuck its teeth into the skull, punctured the brain. So they all say, Machnis yad lifnim, you stick your finger inside to the top of its, what do you call that area on top?
Palate.
The palate, very good. Push. Push. What's going to happen? His brains are going to be mush, and they're going to push out. Now, if there's 2 little holes on the top, there's going to be brain squirt, and then you know that it's treif. No brain squirt, kosher, gewaldig away.
Well, his brains are falling out.
Yeah. Listen, a chicken doesn't have that much brain going on, but whatever it is. If the brain comes out, treif, if not, it's kosher. Says Gemara, according to Gemara, it says that it becomes treif when you puncture both membranes. Okay, so both are punctured now because if you see brain squirting out of the top of this chicken's head, obviously both were punctured. If the upper membrane is punctured, that makes it a treifa. Maybe in this case, the lower one is not punctured. The reason why brain is not splattering everywhere is because there's another layer. Says Gemara, not true. Why? Because the lower layer is very, very thin. Since the lower membrane is very, very thin, so when a human being pushes his finger through the palate, it's going to give, and the brain is going to go squirting out. He did some sort of video here. It's not very accurate because in this video, the bird is still alive. What is going on? Let's just use this picture for the pshat of the Gemara. If brain came out of the top, that means what? There's 2 holes, or however many holes from the weasel. Omar Ziri ain bedikul chulda. Zir says you can't check from a weasel bite. Because it has very thin, needle pointy teeth. Here, like, where was that? Here, right over here. They're too small to check. The Gemara says it makes no sense what you're saying. Why? Who cares? Brain will come out. Because its teeth are crooked. Therefore, when you put pressure, you apply pressure, it'll come out of the membrane and it won't continue into the. It's going to go into the empty airspace between the brain and the skull. It won't go out of the next hole. If it's lined up, hole to hole, then when you put pressure, it'll come out the top hole. But since it's on an angle, it's not going. Like in this picture. Also, we have, if anybody has a weasel, we had a guy here in Shears, very excited. He said he wants to bring his weasels to this dentist. I think he was joking. Where was that one? Here we go. First of all, this weasel has crooked teeth, and he got braces. But, here we go. So its tooth is crooked, and when you push the brain out, I would have put no, this is terrible. This is not a good picture. No. The skull has to be moved over to the left. Mark, just move it over to the left a little bit. You got what I'm saying? Over here, the hole lines up perfectly. Not good.
From the hole, from which part?
From the brain through the membrane to the skull. It's on an angle. So Mamela, when you push on the brain, it's going to come out of the membrane, but it's not going to go through the skull. It won't squirt out of the skull. It'll go into that empty area that you see in this picture. It's too lined up to be accurate. It should have been like this, the bottom part. Whatever. Here. Oh, it actually has a video. Look at that. That's what he's showing. No. I learned it a little differently. Okay.
Is there a bottom part of the tooth or just the top part of the tooth that we're talking about? Is the issue?
The top part, because the bottom is going through the jaw. You worry about the brain. What's hitting the brain? The bottom's not hitting the brain, I think. Says the Gemara, so what does Zeiri say? That you cannot check a weasel. Says the Gemara, when Zeiri came to Nardar, Shalachlu, he sent back to where he came from, to Bavel. Well, Nardar is in Bavel. He sent back Dvarim shomarti lefneichem tos heim biyadi. This, which I said that you can't check a weasel bite, is a mistake. In fact, he said from Rish Lakish, you could check a weasel with your hand. What I meant is, not with a nail. What do? You take something sharp, like a nail or a pin, and you go back and forth on the brain. And you see if there's any holes in the membrane. If there's a snag, you know. Did I just say snag? Keep on moving. Why are you smiling? You know why. You're a Lubavitcher, you know why.
You don't? You have to be a Lubavitcher to know.
Yeah, most people don't know what a snag is.
Super snack.
Oh, a snag. Okay. Rechon Omar, Abba Masmer. What do I want to say over here? Oh, there was a story about Rav Dov Landau, when he went to Feher, a bunch of 13-year-olds, and he asked him questions in Gemara back and forth, and the next day he wrote them a letter, and he says, that which I told you yesterday was a mistake. I have to tell you, I made a mistake. As an older person telling 13-year-olds, it's pretty chashuv. It's a nice lesson for the 13-year-old. Even a chashuv person can make mistakes, and not only that, he'll admit to it, fess up, and put it in writing. So what's the problem with a masmer, with a nail? The problem is it can make another hole, it can make another nick, and it'll make it a treifa. No, you could use the nail trick to see whether or not there was a previous puncture. And this is an old machlokes of Tanaim, Rabbi Yehuda and Nechemia. Chad badik b'yada, one would use the pushing of the brain up. Chad badik b'machta, another one would use a pin. So the one that used this finger told the one that used the pin, when are you going to stop wasting Jewish money? What is it again? Nowadays, sometimes people waste money on chumras and things that are not really halachically correct. Different examples, I'm not going to go into it, but some people pray with a P-R-E-Y. They pray on the innocence of other people and say, look, I have a solution to this chumrah. If you only spend this amount of money, that's when are you going to stop? Oh, I'm not going to go into it. Different stuff. Okay. And the same thing in the reverse. The one that used the needle test, you tell the one that used the finger test that what you're doing is not accurate. Just because the brain doesn't splatter everywhere, it doesn't come out of two holes, doesn't mean that it's not an avela. It is an avela. Now, what's the difference between an avela and a treifa, Rabbi Isai? An avela is a dead animal, like a cow. Any cow that dies without shechita, any horse that dies, any chicken that dies is an avela. It gives off a tumah. A treifa is an animal that you shecht, and you find out that it has a mum. How do you say mum in English? A blemish that will cause it to die eventually. But because you shechted it, there's no tumah. So the Gemara asks right away, why are you calling this an avela? By the way, I'll say real quickly, I don't have the name or all the information, but Akiva Ziegler's father was Nifter, and the Levaya is in Bet Shemesh, I guess today. You're going to be watching this year today on Wednesday?
Thursday.
For them, it's
Today is Wednesday in Austria? Right now it's Wednesday. Yeah? Tomorrow is Thursday. Okay. Thursday. Wow, the week flew by fast. Okay, so it's a shachot. So shachot, why are you calling it an avela? You're right. In fact, it's a treifa, not an avela. Who said what? To stand the Rabbi Yehuda with the badik biyada, I have a simple raya. It's mamish befurish. The Rabbi Yehuda is the one that says that you do the hand check, not the needle check. The sanyo. You use the hand check and not a nail. Nishbar etzem, and he continues to say that if the skull broke, so it's a treifa. You don't need to puncture the membrane. To stain, great raya. That's Rabbi Yehuda that says it. Ask the Gemara, but I have a problem. You tell me you check the weasel with your hand, not with a nail. Alma isle, you could check. And then you tell me that if the skull breaks, you don't need to check to see if the membrane is intact or not. Automatically, it's a treif. The membrane is nothing. So you see, there's no point of checking. Says the Gemara, and we're going to have this 3 times in a row, same exact question, same exact answer. So we have a freebie here all the way to the bottom. Seifa asan la'oiv shel mayim. When we're talking about a water bird, like a seagull, well, that's an example, but a duck, a kosher bird, it doesn't have a membrane. And therefore, it's treif right away. If you have a problem, broken skull, it's treif right away. Ask the Gemara, how can you say that a brain, I mean, that's one of the chasadim HaKadosh Baruch Hu gave creatures and humans. The brain sits in fluid, It has all this protection with membrane and fluids. Imagine a brain without fluids. Every time you moved your head, the brain would get a concussion, banging into the wall of the skull. So how can you tell me it doesn't have a membrane? Says Gemara, of course it has a membrane. It's a very, very soft membrane. Here's a chicken membrane, and compared to a duck's membrane, it's much thicker, a chicken. You see the thick white over here. The membrane, yeah, there's a membrane. But the point is that even if the membrane is intact, but if there's a hole in the skull, the membrane is worthless because it's so thin. So there's no point in checking it. It's treif. So now the same thing all over again. You said that Shmuel, who said that you do the hand check. Our friend says Rav is the one that says you use the hand, not Shmuel. It's the same thing as we had before. If the skull breaks, you don't have to check the membrane. So how come by us you check the membrane? In a water bird, you don't have to check the membrane because it's all over. Once there's a hole in the skull, it's a treifa. Because it doesn't have a membrane. It doesn't have it has a very thin one. Says Gemara, third story. Same thing all over again. There was a chicken in Rav Chana's house. And he sent a question to Rav Masna that what? Our case where the skull broke but the membrane is intact. And he said it's kosher. Great. End of that. Now Rabbi Isai, all the way on the bottom of Amud Aleph, another few very interesting ways to check whether or not a weasel bit through and through the brain and the membrane. One way to check it is take a look at this. He checked it out in the sun. Rav Yemer Badek b'Maya. Look. Now, even this one right over here, how did you get a membrane that you could check in the sun? You have to remove the brain. How do you remove the brain? Do something like this. Here we go. And this is the water test. You fill up the head with water, the membrane with water, and you see if it comes out. If it comes out, that means it had a hole in the membrane. Rav Acha bar Yaakov Badik, he would check, another way to check. Daf Yomi Beis, Begila Dechitza. He would use wheat, the hairs of the wheat. He would go back and forth with it, and he would see if it falls into like a little crevice, a little hole, and they know that it's holy. Omer Rav Shizi, Hani Avazi Didan. Our ducks, they're like water birds. Rabbi Isai, kiss from Hashem. Just today, we happened to be in the Alps, and we saw this. Mamish, I said, this is Mamish like our sugya. Rabbi Isai, we're here in the Alps. These are the barvas that doesn't have a crumb around the moyach. It doesn't have a membrane, very, very thin membrane. Yeah, Valdik. Okay.
Sponsors.
Oh, hold on. I don't know why I'm so dry here. It's hot. It's whatever. It's hotter than usual this season here. What? In the Alps, usually you just sleep with the window open. It's geschmack. You know what else? I don't know if you noticed. You for sure know. When you walk in the Alps, sometimes you have HaKadosh Baruch Hu's air conditioner. It's very cold air that comes off the top of the mountain, goes through the inside of the mountain, and pops up all the way in the bottom, like a hole. What do they call it here? There's a name for it? You're walking by, and all of a sudden, you're boiling hot, all of a sudden, it just keeps on going, this cold air. You know what I'm talking about? HaKadosh Baruch Hu's air conditioner. Oh, says the Gemara, zugesund. Boy ben Rav Yosef Berei, Rav Yeshua ben Levi, Rav Yeshua ben Levi. Oh, the sponsors. The attorney of the Daf Global, the official non-corporate sponsor of the MDY League, Encore Healthcare, as it's chus for all of Klal Yisrael. Boy ben Rav Yosef, no, not for the Lord. If a chicken fell into the fire, how much green? As much as the hole in the different limbs. Every time we say there's a hole in the lungs or whatever, it's a needle. If you recall, so if you see a red organ that turns a little green, it is treif. The Gemara, I'm just telling you the end of the Gemara, but here comes the Gemara. If a bird fell into fire and became green, kaved, its liver, keneged b'nei ma'ayimau. If the liver, that's opposite of the intestines, becomes green, what's the halacha? Amalei treifa, why is it different than any other organ? So he asked him beautifully, it was a setup to the question. We know that if you remove the entire liver, as long as a small piece remains, the animal is kosher, the bird is kosher. Why? Because it will regenerate itself. So who cares if a little tiny part of the liver became green? It will regenerate itself. So, since it got green on the underside of the liver, you should know that eventually, not eventually, but that the intestines also were burnt and singed by this fire. It's like indication. Look, if the liver got burnt, not necessarily would the intestines get burnt, but if the liver got burnt to the point where they turned green and the intestines are right behind the liver, then you know that they got enough damage from that fire and it's treif. He had a chicken that fell into the fire. So he sent it to Rabbi Elazar. It's green. That's the normal color. But we said in the Mishnah that if it turns green, it's possible. So he says, three organs that are initially red, and they turn green. The change of the color indicates that it's treif. But if it's green to begin with, as the Gemara is going to say soon, then of course it's kosher. And we learned this also. These are the types, these are the organs that become treif, turning green. The korkivon, how do you say korkivon? The gizzard?
Yes.
The heart and the liver. You also had a chicken that fell into the fire. What's up with the chickens that fall into the fire? He said, oh, it's red. Red is good. When it changes colors, that's when it's treif. It's not that it's red. But what was it to begin with? It was green that turned to red. That's treif. But if it's red and it stayed red, that's great. When it's red and turns green, it's also treif. Which ones that remain kosher when they're red and they remain red, that are kosher? Those three that we said before, that if they turn green, they become treif. The heart, the kurkum, and the kavod. If you have red organs that turn green, and you put them in boiling water, and the original color came back, why is it kosher? Because it only had smoke. You're seeing a smoke screen, you're not seeing the real color. So let's take that logic and let's use it in the reverse. If you have a red organ that didn't turn green, and then you boiled it up, you see, in fact, it was damaged by the fire. How do I know it's damaged by the fire? Because I boiled it and then it turned the green. It was supposed to be red, but it turned green. Treifo. My time, iglayu, sorry, yeah. Adam shloiriku, shlogam yiriku. Treifo, my time, iglayu basayu. So Rashi says the interesting word, basayu means their shame. In other words, they were hiding behind the smoke, but in fact, it's very shameful. It turned colors, it switched colors. Amar Rav Ashi Hilkuch. So Rashi comes with Allah, and the Gemara doesn't like what he says. If you think you have concern that your animal might have jumped onto the grill for a minute, and you're not sure if it's a treifa, so put it into boiling water and see if anything changes colors. So the Gemara, we don't work like that. Since nothing changed colors, why would you look for a change in color by putting it into hot water? If you have a changed color, so you put it in. Or in the first case, you put it in and you found out that it changed. But to lechatchila go and check for a changed color, we don't do that.
Why assume?
Why assume? Dratzu trafa b'kaisel. An animal that a human being stepped on or threw it into a wall. Omer Rebbe Lazar ben Atigla Shum Rebbe Lazar b'Rebbe Yanai achazu b'achazu tzricha b'dika. You still need to check it. For what? Now, if it lived for 24 hours, we said it's kosher. Why is it kosher? Because what's the main concern? Risukei varim, that it's in a fula, that it has internal injuries, and this will give us an indication that it didn't have internal injuries because it wouldn't survive 24 hours. But you still have to check it to see if it has a severed spinal cord. That's what he says. Says the Mishnah. Just like we had in the beginning of the Perek, with the first Mishnah was Elu Treifos, then we had Elu Ksheris in Behemoths. So on Amud Aleph we have Elu Treifos on birds, and Elu Ksheris in birds. Here's the Elu Ksheris. Elu Ksheris Ba'if, Nikfa Hagargeres, if there's a little tiny hole in the trachea, the breathing tube, it is kosher. Oisha Nizdaka. So this is Nizdaka. We love this picture. Right down the trachea. So when the bird eats, it actually closes up. The tension closes it up, so it's easier for it to heal. Hikata chulda roisha, if the weasel bit it in its head, magam she'eno says it's treif, in a place where it won't become treif, not by the brain. Nikav azepek. So let's go to the zepek. Here we go.
Or by the brain and we checked.
No, it says magam she'eno says it's treif.
Right. Or by the brain.
You mean that it didn't go through the membrane? Zepek is the crop. It's the first sack that the food goes into. Rebbe Omer afilu nitel. So remember this, Rebbe. Rebbe says when it comes to the zepek, it can be removed completely. So they explain it doesn't mean completely. It means most of it, which is called completely. But remember, Rebbe says even if the whole zepek was removed, if the intestines came out but they weren't punctured, if its wings were broken, it's still kosher. It's not a treifa. Its feet are broken. Nimrutu knofeha, it lost its feathers, the large feathers. If you remove the down, the smaller feathers, psula. Coming up, Rabbi Say, one of the most interesting stories of Shas. You don't think it's one of the most interesting stories? There's a lot of interesting, but this is one of the most interesting ones. And there's a video to go with it. They went to Lud. And they slept in Oinai. If anybody did Chazor on yesterday's daf, you'll know what a tarpachas is. What's a tarpachas? The same thing what a shlafuchas is.
Same thing, yes.
As a Beis HaRechem. The Gemara said there's 3 Lashonas for a Rechem. I don't know, maybe I'm missing one. Akol Parim, if the womb was removed, they said the halacha is Kirebi B'Zepek. Like Rebbe says Zepek. Now what is the Rebbe saying in Zepek? Again, let's go back to the Mishnah. That when the crop is punctured, Rebbe says even if it was removed completely. So the Gemara says, what exactly do they mean by that? Did they actually mean that if the womb is missing, then it's aser, it's a treif? Like Rebbe says that if it's completely removed, the zepik is a heter. But tarpachas would be aser. Or they were just saying, look, just like Rebbe said it's mutter, so too the womb is mutter. The Gemara understood that there's something going on here by comparing it to Rebbe, they actually don't hold like Rebbe. So says the Gemara, Teiku. In fact, I don't know what the pshat is. Omer Rabba, V'tem Rabbi Shimon Levi, Gagish Zepek, Nidin Keveshet. So let's take a look at this. And I'm going to bring my little laser. This is the crop right over here. So he says that the gagoy, this is the roof of the zepek, meaning where it becomes narrow. Nidan kiveshet. It has the same halacha as the esophagus. What's the halacha of the esophagus? That a small little puncture makes it treif. Heicha. Where is this exactly? Where it becomes narrow after the crop, right over here. All this right over here has halacha like an esophagus, and mashu makes it treif. Here comes the story of Rabbi Shmuel by Rabbi Yitzchak. When the intestines come out, they fell out. It's when the human being didn't intervene and put it back in upside down. If you put it in backwards, it makes it treif. Hu made you. How do you touch up the word by Chonenecha in
Established you.
and established you? Akash Baruch Hu made like a base in a human. If any of them are flipped upside down, a person can't live. When I had surgery on my knee, I had ACL surgery, so the doctor told me, anytime you do surgery in a body, you're messing with the Akash Baruch Hu's creation. He was a non-Jew, but this is what he said. So since I'm going in there, I'm poking around, so you should expect to have arthritis later on in your life and different stuff. That says you don't have to do surgery, but you know how they're salespeople. If you don't want to play basketball ever again or any sports, then you don't have to do surgery. It's fine. You can play golf. That's probably most likely that's okay. I'm telling it to a 19-year-old, you know. Shkoyach. So yeah, that's why. So 30 years later, or 34 years later, issues in the knee. So don't mess around with HaKadosh Baruch Hu's creation. Don't try to put it back in. If you do, you try to throw the kishkis back in, it's like a whole, it's a windy thing. If you try to put it back in, you're going to mess it up, and it's going to be a treifa. Tanya, and very similarly, this is referring to Klal Yisrael, to Knesset Yisrael, that what? Karcha de Koile Bey. It's like a city that has everything in it. Mimenu Kohanov, you have the Kohanim from them. Mimenu Nevi'ov, Nevi'im, Mimenu Sarov, Mimenu Malachov, King, Shenemar, Mimenu Pino, Mimenu Yosei. From everything, you have the corner, you have the Yosei, I say Yosei, the
Foundation?
No. It's like what you put in for a tent, like it.
Peg.
With the yal, yeah, a peg. Thank you. Oh, here's the story of Boise. Here it is. Oh, crazy story. There was a Roman. He witnessed a terrible thing where a human being fell off a roof onto the ground. And his stomach exploded. And his intestines splattered out. We, in fact, have a picture that we took in the safari. It's a gross picture, so I'm warning you. Graphic warning. This is a zebra that, let me get this off, that someone attacked it or something happened there, and its intestines came out of it. It's a real picture. We saw that. It's real. We all saw this. We took it. We all took it. Okay.
Everybody has a picture of it.
Yeah.
Look at the background. This is the Serengeti. The amount of animals, all this is this is not common in regular safaris. The amount. Okay. So he witnessed this. He sees it with a human being that his kishkas are all over the place. I celebrate. So he takes the wounded man's son, ushchate kamei. He shechted him, he sliced his neck right in front of the father. So what did the father do? From such pain, watching his son like that, he screamed out and he made some noise or whatever, and his kishkis went all the way back in.
That's right. He screamed out.
Instead of screamed out. Yeah. I'm learning after years. I wasn't sure if that's the way to say it.
He said it very well.
You don't say he said it very good. You said it very...
Wow.
Ah.
And we have the video.
Yes, here comes the video. But it was Ba'achuzah Sinayim Rabboisai. The guy didn't know. He thought his son died. It was a shechita. But in fact, it was a magic trick. In Gid Ve'itnach, he screamed out. Here, let's show the video and then we'll say the last words. And that's what we have for today. Here we go. Oh, in Rome. Ingid vidnach ulemayone. So his kishkis went right back to where he came in like a vacuum. The chayte lekreise, and he sewed him up real quickly so they shouldn't go back out. And the guy lived happily ever after in Rome. Rabboisai, have a wonderful day.
Merit the schus of spreading Torah throughout the world. Sponsor a shir today. MDYsponsor.com or sponsor at MDYDaf.com.